update and briefing. I will now give the floor to our next briefer, Mrs. Francesca Albanese, UN Special Rapporteur. She's an international lawyer specialized in human rights in the Middle East. Since May 2022, Mrs. Albanese has served as United Nations Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territory occupied since 1967. The academic works cover various aspects of the question of Palestine, the legal situation in Israel and Palestine, and Palestinian forced displacement, including the mandate and work of UNRWA. Mrs. Albanese, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I regret not being with you, as I would have done under normal circumstances today, and this is due to the travel ban imposed on me by the US administration. What is my crime? Having done my job, having delivered what I have to, 6 reports, 7 now, to the United Nations, bringing to the fore the fact that enlighten the kind of crimes, the gravity, the depth of crimes that Israel is committing and increasing with the complicity of a variety of actors. The report that caused the sanctions that remained still unaddressed, and for this I don't blame the United States alone. I think that it's absolutely necessary that the international community acts in unison to make sure that the sanctions are lifted, and this ad hominem measure is not repeated against anyone else. But in the face of this, the responsibility is also of member states, and I agree with a colleague who has spoken before me. The gravity of the situation today speaks to a vulnerability that is becoming bigger and bigger within the United Nations system. That a UN mandate holder who serves pro bono the United Nations on the basis of trust, knowing that he or she will be protected by the organization, is one. There is also 2 years of attacks against UNRWA that finally have been clarified by the International Court of Justice itself. There are the continuous attacks against anyone who speaks on behalf of the oppressed, and anyone who tries to advance justice, and this is unacceptable. So what is that I would have shared with you in person today? After the presentation of my report yesterday, and you saw the level of attacks that even that report has elicited. I've been accused of witchcraft, no less. I could have been accused of anything because my reports are written by a human being. So I would be happy to see for once anyone engaging or critical of me, engaging on the substance of my reports. And it has not happened. Israel has accused me of witchcraft in 2025. Because this doesn't only have to do with who I am as a voice extremely critical of Israel, extremely critical of apartheid Israel, and who's tired of seeing mothers, fathers, and children slaughtered every day, using and misusing even concepts of international law. And today, under the banner of peace, 200 Palestinians have been slaughtered in Gaza, and no one looks today because there is a ceasefire. This is the meaning of ceasefire according to Israel. And for denouncing all this and the system of complicity that upholds it, a woman, because this is witchcraft is something that is primarily addressed to women. People like me, up to a few hundred years ago, would be burned in a public square for speaking truth. All the more speaking truth to patriarchy and to power. We are still there, where a man who represents an entity, a state in this case, which is committing crimes, as it breathes, accuses a woman of witchcraft. And the fact that the Israeli ambassador was allowed to speak and go on with its runs for 7 minutes without being stopped tells a lot also about the august institution that you are part of, not able to lift the sanctions against a person protected under the Convention on Privileges and Immunities, not able to stop the representative of an apartheid state turning genocidal, because this is what Israel is an apartheid state that has turned its settler colonialism into genocidal to respect the basic principles of the institution it's part of. But this is the core of the matter, and this is what I would like to insist now. It's in a context of sustained and intersecting violations of peremptory norms of international law that Israel's settler colonialism has been allowed to fester, that the apartheid has been consolidated and normalized. And member states have, with few exceptions, have done not much to prevent genocide, to stop genocidal acts, and to punish all the crimes connected to this genocide, from incitement to execution. And so the genocide continues. But my last report tries to add something more. I looked at what member states have done, especially in the last 753 days, and I realized that again there has been more support than deterrence toward the acts of genocide that Israel has been committing. And in fact, the international community has enabled it through diplomatic fora that, instead of serving peace, have been used to advance dehumanizing language against the Palestinians, or legitimizing Israel's false claim from self-defense to fighting against terrorists or human shields. We keep on seeing this. The betrayal of the very function of the United Nations preserving peace by using international law. Israel claims self-defense for the soldiers who are killed in the Gaza Strip. But this is Palestinian self-defense. I'm sorry, but the Palestinians, Israel cannot claim self-defense in the land that occupies over and over. And the military ties that many states in the General Assembly are still still have with Israel, make them responsible, and when men and women who are in government in those states personally liable, because transferring or buying weapons, intelligence, and having joint trainings with genocidal states shows intent and leads to complicity. And of course, trade. How come that after 2 years of genocide, member states continue to have businesses with Israel, primarily Western states, but not only, including states in the Arab region? How come? And I have to say, it pierces my heart, especially I've just come back from South Africa, where I've had some very few and uplifting days, reminding myself of how important is the struggle for Palestine, which was at the core of the South African struggle, but I really don't think that we have appreciated enough what Nelson Mandela used to say. Our struggle, our freedom is not complete without the freedom of the Palestinians. Because the Palestinians, like South Africans in the end of the apartheid situation, were and are the victims of European settler colonialism and are paying the price for it and are being tested, they are treated as guinea pigs of an experiment that keeps on going. And this is not against the Palestinians themselves, and it's not against the UN themselves. It's transforming the very Arab region into a project for decolonization because we have been fooled by the idea that we have a settler colonialism. Greater Israel, it's not about the expansion of physical border. Greater Israel is the expansion of dominion and a concept of subjugation, and the Arab region is already falling into this because if we look at many countries that in the past 20 years have been put on their knees from Iraq to Libya to Lebanon and Syria today. This is the realization of Greater Israel in the bigger scheme of US imperialistic dominion. This is happening under our watch, under your watch. And look at this is the last point I wanted to raise. The humanitarian function, the fact that for 7 months, the humanitarian aid, instead of being delivered only and according to the principles that had been set including by the International Court of Justice, Israel had to allow unfettered access of humanitarian aid. Aid has been the distribution of aid has been left in the hands of the state which was committing genocide, and the state was its partner in crimes, the United States. This is the situation. I mean, the Palestinian sacrifice mirrors the incapacity of the international community to come together and deliver the promise of the UN Charter and the United Nations as a whole, this organization that has just turned 80. Excellencies, this institution is not in a good shape. And what happens to Palestine, what happens to the people in Sudan, what happens to the people in Congo, speak the same language. The United Nations is not able to preserve peace and stability and prosperity and to realize human rights. This is the brutal reality. And it's becoming, as I've said already 1 year ago, more and more irrelevant to the younger generations. They are not like mine, believing in this ideal world represented by the United Nations, which was there to prevent horrible crimes, including genocide. After 2 years of watching the Gaza genocide and the dispossession of the Palestinians wherever they are, the blaming of the Palestinians wherever they are, including in the United Nations, this is for many not just trauma, it's memory in the making. And we still have time, we still have a little time to recover, but we need to do the right thing. And for this, we need principled and United Nations, made also of the countries who broke the chains of colonization, of colonialism decades ago, that today are not as strongly aligned with the quest for freedom of the Palestinians as they should be, as they are naturally called to be. And I want to close on this sober note, calling for a moment of reflection on where the United Nations, not just for Palestine, but for all of us, should go next. Thank you.
Mrs. Albanese, I thank you very much for your intervention and for the very important and frank briefing on the situation in the OPT.
Excuse me, Chair. Did you call for comments?
Yes, if you want to comment, yes.
Gladly so, gladly so. And so And also I wanted to salute the permanent representative of Malaysia personally. It's surely a missed opportunity not to be in New York, also because I would have loved to sit with you and continue the productive discussion that we have had in the past. I want to particularly salute the states who are among whom Malaysia, who are members of the Hague Group. So when I think of how to get out of the impasse, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Hague Group. And here are two things. What are the problems? The problems is that today, in the apocalyptic scenario, which there's not just apocalypse doesn't, as I often say, doesn't only means destruction, means revelation. And in the so revealing scenario that Gaza, Palestine, and the fate of the Palestinians have shown us, there is a realization to the not only of how unequal the system, the international system is. It's not one state, one vote. And because eventually it's clear that this is a system dominated not just by the P5, but by and large by the United States. Is this the system that all member states feel comfortable with? But also, what's happening to the Palestinians? Is it today in Gaza and beyond? Is a test for where we are going next. So, in the face of this, and with the realization of the causes and the consequences, I think that it's exactly the example given by the states who are the members of the Hague Group that should tell us what is the way out. Because while the majority of member states were discussing the two-state solution, and again, I don't want to sound critical of the two-state solution, but frankly, with the genocide ongoing, is the best thing that member states have at their disposal, recognizing the state of Palestine to do nothing next? I don't think so. And so these states have pointed to the fact that there are concrete obligations that they need to act upon. And this is the thing. I think that the lesson that we take from the Hague Group is that like it or not, Palestine today proves the stage to determine whether we will live in a fully decolonized international world order or not. This is a test, and it's not a test for the Palestinians, it's a test for all of you and all of us. And second, what does it take for member states to think out of the box and to create an alliance within the United Nations system of states which want to resist this bullying? And it takes 191 member states to come together and start discussing measures as others, so as to constitute a strength, a unity in the vis-a-vis this alliance between the US and Israel, which of course it has ramification, political, economic, financial ramification. And still, we need to start somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Albanese. Thank you now.
Yes, absolutely. I agree and totally concur with what my colleague Bensol just said. It's about complying with international law. We live in a context where, when it comes to Palestine, the International Court of Justice has spoken and spoken and spoken. In 2024, three times the International Court of Justice has reminded member states of what they should and should not do. I mean, Israel first and foremost, but also member states. They cannot transfer weapons, including components, and I would go as far as to say, including dual-use items, considering state practice, to a state which is committing violations of international humanitarian law. Therefore, yes, it's absolutely necessary that states align their conduct with international law, because this is what is necessary to preserve the integrity of the system. And because, as it's been said before, the International Court of Justice has also said that the occupation must be dismantled totally and unconditionally. What is the point of uploading a peace plan that allows the occupation to continue in disguise, under disguise, and the genocide of Gaza most likely to continue under the pretense of reconstruction? Because this is my fear, that the reconstruction will lead to a result that the genocide has not been able to achieve yet, which is the forced displacement of the majority of the population, the Palestinian population from Gaza. So this is why the starting point should not be what the most powerful in the room says, but should be the limits of the law. Israel must be held accountable first and foremost, but also Israel cannot sit at the table to discuss the present and the future of Gaza. Israel should be out. This is a principled way of thinking. And I'm paralyzed by the thought that all of you, all member states in the United Nations, cannot stand by those principles because of, again, bullying inside the United Nations. This is not a situation that requires intelligence. It requires courage. And how come 191 members of the United Nations cannot isolate the two which are bringing havoc on the entire system, and none of us will be spared if this situation continues? There is really a war that looms at the horizon, and it's going to be one with means and technologies of the 21st century. It's going to be really dangerous. And I feel more and more like Cassandra, keeping on saying things that sound horrible and far-fetched to happen, and they happen. It's 2 years that I say the goal of Israel is in Gaza is to displace the Palestinians, destroying everything they leave behind. And this is what's happening. So I really beg each member state who's listening to us to start the virtuous path of complying with international law and helping to end the occupation by cutting ties with Israel, military, diplomatic, economic, and other ties, end the occupation, make the genocide accountable, and then end apartheid. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Albanese. Salim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Is this like now we're concluding, the meeting? Is that why you're asking me?
Do you have any question, Mr. Mansour?
No, but you see, I just want to raise our good colleagues who have raised tremendous and powerful, comments and proposals. But I believe also that all the successful experiences that we've witnessed during the struggle against colonialism and apartheid in South Africa. And Francesca is absolutely right. She said that Nelson Mandela said that the liberation of South Africa is not complete until the Palestinian liberation takes place. All these things are correct, but also as a student listening and studying from the fabulous book of the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, master leader leading that struggle, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela did not restrict himself one mode of the struggle, and he was the master in creating support to the just cause of South Africa, put an end to apartheid. He started by unifying countries, the southern part of Africa, then unifying all of Africa around, the just struggle of the people of South Africa. Then the non-aligned movement, the three continents, Africa, Latin America, and Asia, And then he succeeded with the ANC and the movement in South Africa in making a tilting, which started in Ireland with a simple worker to sell the oranges from South Africa, supermarket, Ireland. And then that spark spread to make the tilt of Africa, of Europe, to support Africa. And then both of the struggles sailed in the direction of the United States. Fragment, the denial of the support, just struggle of South African, and then put an end to apartheid. So, knowing this realism of the struggle, and also the realism of the struggle combined with principles of Mahatma Gandhi, for example, would lead us not to have to restrict ourselves to only in one small area and expect from the rest to be complete from the beginning, but take the more productive approach of convincing people as they move forward, give more to the just struggle, especially in the practical aspect of supporting and to keep accumulating in order really to apply the physics principle that quantitative changes will eventually lead to a qualitative shift and therefore the complete collapse of the apartheid system in that case. I know that all of us are extremely angry and frustrated, and of course, the ones that have a legitimate claim be more frustrated and angry than all of us, which is the Palestinian people, because they are paying the ultimate price, especially in the Gaza Strip. So therefore, what I'm trying to say, there are many smaller steps that have been taking place in the international community, because disarming or not sending weapons to Israel is not only restricted to members that do not have weapons among the Hague group, the Madrid group, especially Spain, is among the leaders in working for not sending weapons to Israel, not allowing planes carrying weapons to use Spanish airport or ships carrying weapons pass through the ports of Spain. Even the small step of Germany not sending weapons to be used in killing Palestinians in Gaza. Some might think that these are small, not important steps, but in the process of accumulation, in order really to succeed in defeating this illegal, abhorrent occupation system, which is conducting, genocide and which is building an apartheid, I think it requires a collective genius from all of us, not to restrict the struggle to only one small form. And even within the UN, which is the house of the majority of countries that are vulnerable and poor, that are trying their best to stand with the Palestinian people and to vote with the Palestinian people, although that is not leading to the end of genocide, I think it would be wiser, in my humble opinion, that, let us see what steps countries are able to do and to appreciate these steps and to try to encourage them to take additional steps. I think that this is the approach that, that our brilliant leader in this struggle, which is Nelson Mandela, that followed, and that, we are trying as much as possible to follow the same path in order to get closer, putting an end to this illegal occupation, to have freedom for the Palestinian people. And at the end of the day, as we all agree to apply international law and the principles in the Charter, it is the Palestinian people in exercising their right to self-determination. It is up to them to decide what is good for them, and we should accept it as we accept the right of self-determination to be applied to all nations and to all people. I think that, Francesca Albanese is a good friend of mine, and I love her spirit, and I love her fighting spirit. So, I was born in the Palestine question. It runs into my DNA from my families, from my father, from my uncles, from all of my relatives, from all the people that sometimes I cannot contain myself describing their pain in Gaza, especially the children. But all of these things is not allowing me to continue using only my emotions, but to use my mind to navigate in a brilliant way, especially in a collective way, by all of the Palestinians, the children, women, including everyone, and the massive support that we have from all of you and the hundreds of millions who are in the streets. We need to make all of that come together with everyone, with every group, with every force. We need to succeed, and we need to put an end to this tragedy. I listen to you very closely. I know that all of you, you say everything that you say from the bottom of your hearts and from the love to the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian. But yet, in the same time, we need to get closer to the end line, and we need to be as creative as possible in our collective genius mind, all of us, in order really to reach the point of Palestinian people to exercise self-determination with all of the components as it was articulated by the ICJ, in its historic advisory. We are not going to be the exception to the rule. We are like the South African. We are like the Namibian. We are like everyone that struggled for their own freedom through the complexity of the path that they went through. With those who were approving international law halfway, quarter of the way, 100% of the way, I accept always I need in order to reach the moment of freedom for the Palestinian people. And as Martin Luther King, when he said free at last, want to be free at last. And I believe that all of your ideas are wonderful, but trust the Palestinians, because they are in the trenches. They are the ones who are suffering, and they are the ones who are saying today, particularly in Gaza, we want to live one peace. We want to stop the killing, but we want to take care of our children. We have to listen to them very closely. And even if, as our friend from England said, that this agreement or the ideas of President Trump, you can shred them to pieces, and he analyzed it correctly. But yet, in the same time, if there is a component of it that says stop the killing of the Palestinians in Gaza, I want to stop it. Our people want to stop it. We have 1 million children in Gaza to save them. Those who were killed, my heart, leads to them, but I cannot bring them back to life. But I can do something about saving the 1 million Palestinian children, and I want to save them in order to give them hope, their dreams, and to live in Palestine. So it is complicated. I don't know if any one of us have a silver bullet to this conflict. There is no silver bullet. All the conflicts that we all talk about, especially South Africa, there was no silver bullet. It was an accumulation process that eventually led to the quality. I say that with complete sincerity, appreciation of what you do, and as a friend, and as also a person that is heavily connected to the struggle of the Palestinian people at the UN. At the UN, we are not isolated. Regardless of what that thug, the Israeli ambassador, would say, including what he said to you, Francesca, that thug who is completely isolated and he should be thrown outside the UN, it's not the one who is dictating the pace at the United Nations. It is the great majority of countries and people who admire the Palestinians and who are trying to do what they can do in order to see the Freedom Day of the Palestine get closer, not to go far away. But things are complicated. The United States of America is not a small, powerful country. We need to be collectively genes, how we navigate through it, and not to allow them to impose on us what we don't want, but succeed with the power of all nations and with the power of all of you and the hundreds of millions in the street, succeed in what Nelson Mandela accomplished. We are not the exception of the rule. We are the children of Nelson Mandela. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mansour. Our distinguished briefers, do you want to take the floor for comment, also final comment? No? Like we are coming to the end of this meeting, I just want to thank you again for your active participation today, and thank you again for those. Thanks again for those who are following us on UN Web TV. Your accounts have been enlightening and have once again highlighted the urgent need to address the issue of accountability for the crimes perpetrated against Palestinians and to finally end the Israeli occupation. We have many groups that has the A group, the Madrid group, and also the Global Alliance, and also we need to coordinate and try to find out how we can all work together with the special rapporteur in order to bring more clarity and impact on the ground. Events like today play an essential role in exposing the staggering level of suffering affecting Palestinian people. And our discussions also reminded us that we, the international community, civil society, and individuals alike must collectively be relentless in continuing to advocate for a just and peaceful solution to the question of Palestine. This will only be accomplished with an end to the Israeli occupation that began in 1967 and the realization of self-determination and independence of the Palestinian people. The world cannot fail the Palestinian people and their legitimate aspirations for freedom. Before closing, I would like to make sure again that there is no hand raised. Very good. Thank you very much. And again, Minister Mansour, if there is no additional demand for the floor coming from you, no. So thank you very much for this wonderful meeting. Thank you, Miss Rib Asalem. Thank you, Mrs. Francesca Albanese. Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much. And